When I was 8 years old, a pandemic wiped out the world's kids. I know exactly what killed them. I was only 8 when it began. The first kid to die was Abigail Lilly. She was screaming at me for touching her Barbie doll, and then she just dropped dead right in front of us. Penn Carson was next. He collapsed during math class. Then there was Jasper Michaels. His eyes rolled back during assembly. I thought he was just lip-syncing the Pledge of Allegiance, but then he died too. Kids were falling everywhere. Hallways, classrooms, streets. It wasn't just my town. It was everywhere. The CDC kept saying it wasn't a virus, that it wasn't contagious. But that didn't stop people from panicking. By then, half the kids in my town were gone. There weren't enough body bags. People refused to touch their own kids, too terrified to even bury them. And still, scientists insisted, it's not a virus. Schools shut down indefinitely. Soon, I was the only one left on my street. Parents started calling me an omen, throwing rocks at my house. So, I stayed inside. By the time I turned 10, half the world's children were dead. Survivors like me? We were treated like animals. It became illegal to house anyone under 18. My town went easy on us. By 16, it was just me, Kiera, and Kenji. No school, no adults who cared, so we scavenged abandoned houses for food. Then Kiera's nose started bleeding. I knew what was happening. I held her as she died, her face pressed into my shoulder. She didn't scream. She didn't cry, just like the others. Kenji was next. His eyes rolled back, just like Abigail's, just like Jasper's. "Shit," he whispered, stumbling. His hand reached out for me. "Nate, am I going to die?" "It's just a nosebleed." I lied, my throat tight. And then he collapsed, limp in my arms. I tried to hold back the words, but I couldn't anymore. They exploded out of me. "I need to tell you something." Kenji's eyes fluttered open, a weak smile forming. "Yeah? What's that?" But I didn't answer. I ran home. I kicked through piles of flyers promising a better tomorrow for survivors at a so-called testing facility. Kenji was an escapee. That place wasn't a facility. It was a prison. "Mom!" I screamed, throwing myself down the basement steps. She hadn't moved since I was 7, not since my baby brother and sister died. But her hands were moving, scribbling on the walls. The walls were covered in blood, scribbles of something, symbols, a language I didn't understand. Kenji, Kiera, and the kids locked up in that facility, they weren't dying of a virus. I was sure of it now. I looked at her. "Mom!" She was still scribbling. I grabbed the papers from her skeletal fingers, my hands shaking. "Stop," I whispered, turning to the wall. The last message read, "Sam and Poppy have enough friends to play with now."